Hello, welcome to Die Gaming. You might see somebody different to my right because that's Joel. Thoughts and prayers for Rob because he died of swine flu. Not that if anybody with swine flu, I don't think that's a thing, and that was made up anyways.
But Rob has it.
Yeah, he's dead. So he'll probably be back later at some point. But anyways, yeah, we're actually going to discuss, because this is Joel, by the way.
What's up?
We have a vast, great history with Guitar Hero and Rock Band. This was the leading cause of emo 15 years ago. And people wanted to be rock stars without actually learning how to play guitar.
And it was also a leading thing to, I don't know if I can say this online, but...
Party activities? His parents is looking at this. Just wanted to go over, the history and what the hell went wrong. I was told, I've been in the gaming industry for 10 years. First or second year at E3, I started talking to some developer that used to work at THQ, and I just kind of brought up to him, like, you ever see another Guitar Hero Rock Band? He's like, yeah, it's a fad. It'll come back. It'll come back. I'm like, oh my God. And that's what it did, 2015. And just as quick as it came back, it died. Activision killed it because they got greedy. And while we both love Guitar Hero Live, matter of fact, you went and bought it at launch, but you had some hookup with that, didn't you? Because you got like two.
I had two of the guitars. I just paid standard retail for.
Oh, you just heard about two. I thought you had like somehow got a BOGO or some weird shit on that.
Nah, that was all Circuit City way back.
I first discovered Guitar Hero on PS2 after I worked at GameStop or EB Games 15 years ago now. Whatever that math is in 2004, 2005 when that came out. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah, and I was all about guitars and dumb stuff at the time with music. But it came out and it was all cover songs, but it's like, the last songs were Bark at the Moon and Cowboys from Hell from Pantera. It's like it was the ultimate soundtrack, but it just sucked because it wasn't the actual music. And it was only available on PS2.
I came in late to that. I didn't know Guitar Hero was a thing.
I didn't even know it. Yeah.
My first exposure to Guitar Hero 2 was actually through a lady I will not name, but
what if you watch it, like and subscribe?
It was my first experience was absolutely horrible, and I was like, "Fuck this game! I'll never play it."
Oh, it was me too. When I jumped in, it was the first time. It was awful.
I gave it a second chance, and it changed my world for quite a few years to come.
Became popular. It wasn't really like 2 was like okay, but then the launch of the 360 happened, and they brought a new guitar and that over to 360, so
and
it was
much improved gameplay.
Yeah. We had to deal with HD lag at that point. People were like, what is this shit? Why doesn't it just work? But, on standard PS2, where that first launched, it was big, but a lot of people at that point, including myself, didn't have a PS2. And
my first personal ownership of a Guitar Hero was on the 360. I actually bought a PS2 for the sole purpose of buying Guitar Hero 1.
I bought a PS2 for the sole purpose of buying Guitar Hero 2. Just never really got... First one I would play if it was somewhere, but I was just so bad at it, but then it just got popular. You'd go to bars.
Oh, yeah.
People were like, oh, shit.
I remember.
And I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, man, it's fun as shit. You're drunk as hell, you get messed up, and just,
There was one point that, Make It Ground Zero, we actually tried to launch a Guitar Hero Tuesday night.
I remember going to Dixie's Tavern on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, which is, some rental car here where we're at. It's long gone. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers to Rob, too, because he's dead. It was cool because some bars would start doing that, and it's like, well, I was thinking outside the box, and there's places that really don't even do that type of stuff anymore, but it was something to pop up. I mean, they had a projector. It's like, yeah, go in there. Then, drunk assholes would destroy the guitars. And that's another thing about all this stuff, too. These instruments. The hardware was absolute shit, and it got worse when Rock Band launched. We'll get to that in a second. Welcome to Amateur Video. You know, I think you know what's weird? In the last video, I think it's the same amount of time span that stupid fucking poster fell. It's the exact amount of time that started, and something went wrong now. This is actually on a WWE John Cena Undertaker box. He paid $12 for that on Amazon, so there is no other shitty headset this time, so that's good.
Hopefully this mic's working a little better. We did a couple test runs,
Yeah.
so.
I still don't know what the hell I'm doing, but it's good enough. Just imagine you're watching a VHS or something, that's all that matters.
It's good enough for government work.
Sponsorships. Volunteer work.
All right.
With Guitar Hero 2, when that came out on 360, it opened up everything, because you had the...
What was the Jackson guitar?
It was the Jackson guitar, which
Hands
destroyed.
down.
So, and that was one of the ones that kind of lasted the longest.
To this, well, I won't say to this day because I don't no longer have one, but I continued using my Jackson throughout Rock Band. I honestly would have used it with Guitar Hero Live had they not changed the entire button layout. It's still hands down my favorite guitar they've ever put out. Hardware.
It's cool as a guitar. But then, so basically the history, Harmonix actually did the original Guitar Hero. Harmonix would go on to do Rock Band through EA, but MTV Games, people were buying people. Red Octane was responsible for those guitars, the hardware. So they would actually go on to publish Guitar Hero after, I wouldn't call it a split, but when EA got Harmonix, they announced Rock Band. It's like, hey, guess what? You can have little fruity guitars, right? Rock Band's like, we're going to let you do fucking everything. And, you know, something with the drum set. So if there's one aspect that you could actually learn to play instruments, is you could technically learn to play drums with these games. You're not going to learn to play guitar, but, you know.
First generation, the drums,
but with Rock Band when it came out, the equipment that came with it, you paid like $200 for everything, but that shit lasted like 3 months. And then EA had to fork out for new equipment because it was just faulty.
The bass pedal didn't last, and in theory it was amazing, in execution, not so much.
But they cheaped out because there was a lot of greed that went on with the genre. We'll get to that
and
later.
there was a lot of third-party companies that put out far superior equivalents that would work with the game, but price point just made it unreachable for any type of casual gamer. And so I think my entire drumming career on Rock Band lasted for about 6 days.
Yeah, because even the pad just stopped recognizing input after a while, and it was just, and then you know you get drunk and you stumble on it and something breaks in half.
Yeah,
it's just not good. And then somebody spills beer on the guitar, and it's like, oh. You know, we yell at kids losing Game Boy games at that time, but we're grown-ass adults just spilling shit and messing up stuff that's more expensive.
These are very real-world problems.
Yeah, very real world, because that stuff costs money. No, Rock Band came out, it was great. The soundtrack was a bit different, because it wasn't all just like metal. But that game also like ruined Weezer for me, and it killed a lot of bands I kind of used to like. Weezer sucks. And that's part of the reason why. It's like, if I could ever go a day without hearing Say It Ain't So one more time in my life, I wouldn't complain. I'm not ever going to say, it's like, God, I want to listen to Weezer. But it's like that, and I think there's a Queen on there. But I tell you what, there's one thing that is big, is you would actually discover bands and songs.
A lot of things that I never would have been exposed to otherwise.
Yeah. They really turned, because the big thing about when we got, 2 years down the road when Rock Band came out, and you had Guitar Hero 3 launch, and they introduced the boss battles that had like famous guitarists in it. The kids nowadays would have no kid knows who the fuck Slash is. So it's like, no, I mean, you have these boss. I mean, it's cool they try to change it up. The biggest thing they did was they licensed music.
That was the groundbreaking thing.
The first 2 Guitar Heroes were just covers.
It was this in the style of this band.
And some of them were shitty, and you occasionally be like, well, damn, this is actually better than the original version of the song.
In some cases. Very few and far between, but in some cases.
It was right around this time, though, that Guitar Hero, which was Activision, and we all know about the greed involved with both companies is bad.
Astronomical.
But they started doing like expansions and side projects. And the first one they did, and I love the idea, but was Rock the 80s. It's like, God, that's the perfect thing. It's like a guitar-influenced decade.
But it was so dumbed down. It's not that it wasn't playable. It was still enjoyable. But they took the challenge out of it completely.
I remember playing Scorpions on that game, and I'm like, all right, here comes a solo, and I'm like, wait, what?
Thing is, you got the riffs that you grew up knowing and loving, and that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take out all the solos, where's the challenge? And that it detoured from previous Guitar Heroes. Still, the essence was there, but the skill level was just taken down to kindergarten.
What's weird is, if you want to put out something like that for more casual people to play, like a younger crowd or something like that,
Pick a different genre.
You pick the 90s or pick 2000s or something like that. I mean, do Guitar Hero Killers, something like that. Just something that's...
No, hair metal.
Hair metal is like, oh, we're going to choose something and it's just going to be marketed wrong because the actual execution was still covers. That was before, and that was weird because I think, and it was only on PS2, didn't hit nothing else, but I think the thing was...
Even though it was already out on 360 at the time.
I don't think Guitar Hero 3 actually came to PS2, but they gave them that, and at that point the other games already had licensed music, and we're just like, why are these just covers?
It was just kind of a lost cause to begin with.
Like, I was looking forward to playing Rat and stuff like that, and just like,
and I don't think any expansions or anything offered any of that soundtrack, which was a complete waste because there were some classic songs that I definitely would have appreciated in a proper Guitar Hero environment.
So we've gotten 15 minutes into this video. I can't do math. If you are watching, and if you have been watching, thank you. It's awesome. But we fucked around with the video, and as you can see, it's green and pink. I'm assuming it's because of the light. I have two hue lights behind the TV. They're colored green and whatever, but we flipped it on. Because shooting at night kind of sucks because you have to have light. If you do it during the day, it's good. But we thought that this wasn't overly pink ass Game Boy shit from the 80s, which is cool. But no, we just both looked at it and we're like,
I can dig it.
Anything more than this will look like a 90s music video. And we're not trying to go over that. But we just saw it. We were both like, damn, this kind of works. And this is kind of like an alternate version of the show because
Rob died.
Rob died, yeah. So, Robin, I'm sorry.
Robin.
I had to call him Robin. Rob died, so.
No surname.
You really need to donate to this so Rob can get a proper burial. Because at this point, we're going to have to, cremate him and dump him in the Conisty River or something like that. But love you, Rob. Yeah. So thoughts and prayers for him. If you see him in public, which you won't, say something nice. Well, you won't see him, yeah. You won't see him because he's fucking dead. So, Rock Band was great at the time, but it was really, there weren't a lot of songs, but what was enabled at that point, and it was brilliant. Because this was the early stages of DLC. Was it? Oh. Well, just, yeah. So the big thing about going to 360 and PS3 was internet connectivity. Like PS2 kind of had it at the end, but these things had hard drives. The big idea was going towards the future, and finally, Rock Band's list it was kind of slim. There were good songs on there, but you got sick of playing after a while. So they started doing download packs, and they did it every fucking Friday.
Every week.
I would check every Friday morning at work and see what was coming up. And then they got to the point where they started doing entire albums. Judas Priest. I saw that man.
Some of my favorite was some of the grunge shit.
Mm-hmm. Oasis pack, man.
Nirvana, Nevermind. That was a big favorite of mine.
These things were like $3 every week. I mean, the whole album's Rush. I had Rush, that was some of them. Yeah, the Oasis pack. What's great is, even to this day, if you bought that shit 10 years ago, you want to dive back in, you can go back and just download it.
It's still there.
Yeah. Unless you're like him and something stupid happens to your account and you wasted $100 on stuff you can't get back.
Which is very true to life.
That's why Xbox
But
sucks.
it is sour grapes, but fuck it.
So that song, Sour Grapes.
But then with the success of that, and Guitar Hero had to show their face again. In my opinion, that's when they kind of they took the reins from Rock Band. Rock Band started the whole band thing, but Guitar Hero really harnessed that shit. And
World Tour, they definitely ripped everything off. They did their own drum set. World Tour also had the sliding guitar.
And you had cymbals on the drums.
Cymbals on the drums. You didn't have cymbals on Rock Band. And Rock Band 2 would hit at the same time. Harmonix and EA were doing yearly releases at this point of this stuff. And this is kind of where it hit the apex and it started to. Rock Band 2 was kind of the pinnacle at that point for the market, because there would be other releases later. But, the biggest thing about 2 is like, well, if you bought 1, bring over all the songs.
That was big.
And
that was big.
And the big difference, we didn't mention this with the first one, is the guitars were different. It had, while you do the solos at the bottom of the fret.
Yeah, the small keys.
Where you could just finger it. You could just, it allowed you to do hammer-ons. And that was a big hook about doing these games all together if you were playing guitar, is pulling off hammer-ons where you didn't have to strum and you just you flow with the music.
It was more of a natural feel to the actual guitar aspect.
With Rock Band 2 is they did improve the hardware to where it wasn't absolute crap. They still wore out over time, but it wasn't,
I'll disagree on that, being the fact I never had a properly working Guitar Hero, or a Rock Band guitar, excuse me.
And that was a Stratocaster, and I like the Stratocaster.
That was after returning it on 2 separate occasions. I never had a properly working Stratocaster. So that's one gripe that I always had.
I think the best guitar, though, you like that Jackson, but what Guitar Hero World Tour had with the
Les Paul.
That was the Les
Paul. 3.
No, 3 was the Les Paul, and that was a good guitar. You could actually disassemble
it. Was the first wireless.
And it was also wireless. And that was a big thing. So, I have to get good. 4 was World Tour, right?
Essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
World Tour had a touchpad at the bottom, so they tried to one-up Rock Band. That's what they did, is they took Rock Band's concepts and tried to one-up it. Yes.
Is that when you first had the freestyle solo, or flourish?
It was like fluent, because there would be lines going across the screen. And if you have no idea what you're talking about and you're still here and you don't know what this game is, and you're 6, one, you shouldn't be watching this. But yeah, Rock Band and Guitar Hero, as you matched up 4 chords across, or 5 chords across. Actually, now that I bring that up, I think the toughest thing for everybody that really determined if they wanted to get into it or not was being able to hit the fucking pinky button.
That was my hardest.
That was it, because if you couldn't do
hardest
that,
thing
then,
to overcome.
Yeah.
You can hold your 4 fingers planted, but being
was,
able to move up and down, that was.
You had to train your fingers to do something different.
That was a hurdle to me.
I think that was everybody. I think people that couldn't do that were like, you know what, I don't want to mess with this now, because you play that medium, it's slow, it's not whatever. It's like, I can do more, but I don't want to do that pinky thing and trying to reach down.
But
you just have to get used to it.
That's what really unlocked the fucking game. That's what separated the casual player and like us. We pretty much lived that fucking lifestyle.
My cousin, who is in prison now, he was probably the best I've ever seen in guitar in any of them. I was really good. He was really good, but my cousin was a whole other level. But I think that's about who's left playing it now. Are just like super nerds that have just been in that since day one. But yeah, the pinky key was huge.
Then there's the ultra nerds that Brett's on Fire and all the PC mod rip-offs.
There was a freeware one that would allow you to import your music on PC.
And
I can't remember what it was called.
There was Brett's on Fire.
That was? Okay, that was Brett's on Fire. That was cool, though.
There were a couple knockoffs of it, too, but Brett's on Fire was the biggest. And you could get custom-made, fretboards and a lot of user-made creations, but It certainly never had the draw of any of the mainstream shit.
It was like imagine Mario Maker, but for Rock Band. So.
And I played with it, but
it was free. That was the most important thing.
There was the novelty of it, just because you could get some songs you may not have exposure to. They didn't have the big company money, production value, or anything like that. So a lot of it was just kind of janky.
Just user-created content.
Obviously amateur shit, but
I don't think anybody ever had a song on any of them. It might be downloadable content now. I remember. I mean, some of the DLC, they show songs. I mean, Through the Fire and Flames is like the pinnacle of difficulty for both games. Because I'll give you this, Guitar Hero in terms of playing guitar was a lot harder. Rock Band always had a little bit more give on delay on hitting buttons. That's why if you try to go back, even if you're good, if you try to go back and play the original now, there's so little room for error on timing. There's nothing to help that a little bit, but it wasn't until it got like more mainstream and people were complaining. It's like, well, do it, but I can't hit it.
And the manual adjustments, you could never really fine tune it just to your ear, and God forbid you got a beer in the system. Shit just went downhill real fast.
But yeah, going back to World Tour though, like he said, his Jackson from 2 was my favorite. Was the one from World Tour, because when Metallica came out, and that was another thing Guitar Hero did, is they went out and grabbed bands and did specific band themed versions that weren't full price games, but like Aerosmith was, they tried to milk the market with it. I remember seeing those things on discount everywhere with the guitar for like $10.
Van Halen around.
That one was pretty. Van Halen was alright. Metallica was the pinnacle.
Metallica was huge.
Yeah, they had every amazing song in their catalog, including the new ones from the new album at that time. But I swear to God that there was, I'd beaten the game, and there was an extra song, and you played it in like Antarctica, and I've not seen that since because it's not on the list, and I can't remember what the song was. But yeah, the way they did that, because that was real up there with difficulty. Like they released that for pure fans of the series.
It also had the full band aspect to the game. So you still had drums, bass, vocals, everything, but they also introduced the double bass pedal. And that was...
Which is ironic, because Lars doesn't use a double bass pedal, which is ironic.
I never played it for myself, but if you were halfway decent in drums, I figured that was probably a big game changer.
We knew one kid that was really, really good at drums.
They also... That was when they introduced the open bass note.
Oh yeah.
And that fucked me up.
Yeah.
That fucked me up.
Because you're used to going expecting a certain way to go, but to have that open, that was huge too. Like, and there are ways they did to either, but if you wanted a guitar and game, you're spending $100.
Yeah.
Every year to just get something else. Whereas Rock Band's like, well, just import the other stuff, so you're not being left out. But yeah, this is where it kind of got full on milking. Rock Band 3 hit, and we actually didn't get that at launch. The only time we played Rock Band 3 was when we rented it.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing with Rock Band 3 is it had a keytar.
There was a keytar.
The keytar. There's only a handful of songs you could do it on, but that was neat.
Just knowing it was there. Knowing it was there, that was pretty revolutionary.
Yeah, if you were good at Rock Band, there's a couple ways of doing it. You were either really, really good at drums, or you could sing and play guitar at the same time. And Guitar World Tour did allow that too. Like, they were just trying to play catch. But it was really innovating. Like, somebody would just set a bar, and then the other company would just try to do something better. There's also another. I think Konami had put it on. What was it? Guitar Revolution.
Something like that.
Yeah, but they didn't have licensed music. It was all covers. It was just a cheap cash in to try and get people. And the pricing of the stuff was cheaper. It's like if somebody was poor and they wanted to get into it, they had $40 to get everything as opposed to.
Well, the quality fit the price tag.
Yeah.
So that didn't go anywhere, to my knowledge.
No.
And so that, I mean, I suppose it's worth mentioning, but not worth giving any real time to.
I think at that point, if you just wanted pure music, by the time Rock Band 3 came out, the set list on Rock Band 3 on its own was the best. And the fact that you could bring a Dio. And the fact that you could bring all the other ones and then bring your DLC, and they kept pumping out songs every week. Yeah, it was something else. But that was what, 2011?
Ish, roughly.
And then it stopped getting profitable for EA, so that's when Rock Band was put on a halt. Guitar Hero still tried. 5 hit. 5 was good, but it was at the point where 5 set list was the greatest Guitar Hero.
I liked 5 a lot.
5 was great, but it just didn't do anything new. And at that point, the genre was.
I liked just the little small novelty aspects to it, like using your Xbox avatar for pre-made characters. Just little small simple shit like that. Yeah. To me, it gave a little breath of fresh air to the game, which was beginning to get a little stagnant, all things considered. But that is, to this day, still probably one of my favorites in the entire fucking
such a good
universe of that shit.
Because that was the people that were left over that still dug it were going to get it. All the casuals, people had moved on to whatever was popular at that point. What was it? I guess everybody's just people were on the shooters and stuff. But yeah, with 5, Activision tried to do something new and went with DJ Hero, which was a little turntable, came with buttons, and it was just all EDM stuff. And I played a little bit with it. He had it.
I got it just because
I just couldn't get into it.
I was not a fan of the music per se, but it was just another one of the Hero
they did two
creations, and so I had to give it its fair due.
They did 2 of them, and Activision was just trying to, because emo and actual music was dying off, to get the young crowd again, everything was starting to switch over to electronic music, which is where we're at now. So they tried to capitalize on that with something unique, and it sold well, but for those of us that want...
It was different. Gameplay wasn't entirely new. I had a foundation of the old stuff, so it wasn't treading new horizons as far as somebody who's played the old shit, but it didn't have that same appeal. It certainly didn't have the music that I was playing in my car at the time. So
I couldn't name one fucking song of it. And I'm sure there's still a cult thing out there for it, but that's where this music game generation still lies now. So like I brought up earlier, I'd asked the developer at E3 a couple years ago about, because we loved it so much, I'm just like, we were talking about trendy stuff, just like, oh, well, everything's going to streaming, and it's all about MOBAs like Overwatch and shit. And I was like, well, we're a Rock Band, we're that. And he's like, well, it'll come back. There's no doubt about it. And everybody will go nuts because it did. And 2 years later, E3, 2015. It wasn't just 1, but it was 2. And it was Guitar Hero Live and Rock Band 4. Now, at the time, Guitar Hero Live did something completely new, and I already missed them.
To be honest, I don't really recall the release of Rock Band 4.
Because nobody really cared, because they didn't do nothing different. The only thing Rock Band 4, and these are the only 2 music games this generation, the only thing Rock Band 4 did was they had a better overall set list, and you could import on old music. Unfortunately, the problem at that point was a lot of people that had 360s, because the Xbox One launch was so bad, people jumped to PS4, you couldn't cross-platform the songs. I specifically went out and got an Xbox One just to eventually get Rock Band 4.
But you lost your entire catalog.
Yeah. So
I know that. That kept me, I guess, from pursuing anything with Rock Band.
It just sucks you invest that much money into it, have a way to go back and get it. And that's why,
And believe me, I tried.
But that was a problem. A lot of people had transitioned over to the PS4, so if they wanted to do that, like, well, shit, I can't get my own music. I'm not going to pay for it again. But yeah, back to Guitar Hero Live, I remember their demo set at E3 that year is they had you run out on stage with this guy that clearly is like a manager at a Guitar Center in LA.
Come on, man.
It's like a fog machine and shit, and you ran out, but it changed everything. The guitar on that was great. That's durable as shit, but it went to
changed the layout
6 buttons.
6-button layout.
And it still had the bottom buttons too, right?
Yep. But the ingenuity.
It was better. They wanted to mimic playing chords better.
Their realism was renewed 1,000%. If you have any experience playing an actual instrument, chord progression, everything felt more true to life. So that was a big selling point. It was also a big learning curve.
Mm-hmm. You weren't going to come flat in there and be like, oh, but no. You just totally going to teach you how to do different things. I think it had open strumming too.
But I think it pissed off a lot of the OG players because it was entirely different, and you could be slaying it on an expert, but you'd have a hard time getting through some of the most basic songs on easy, beginner, and whatnot. That kind of pissed me off at first, but once I sat down and played it, got a feel for it, it felt more true to life.
Yeah, there were two ways of going through and playing that game. They had a full, it was full motion video, or it was supposed to be a responsive audience. If you sucked, you would never, I mean, it was like the story mode where you played shows, because at this point, this is where Coachella and all that shit started blowing up. So they wanted to give you like the festival environment. The problem is, the set list in Guitar Hero Live was either amazing or absolute garbage. Why is this even in a game? There's no guitar. Like, what's the point? It's not fun. What's a Florence and the Machine? Like, why is that in there? It doesn't make any sense. Now, there were no drums in Guitar Hero Live, but you could do vocals. I understand Florence and the Machine for vocals, but it's called Guitar Hero. But the best selling point and what inevitably killed the series, because there was no long-standing, there was no plan for long-time success on this. Everything streamed. Guitar Hero TV would let you go in and play through it and watch music videos, and that is the greatest thing to ever exist in music. Yes.
While it lived, it was not just the best visually, interactively, everything, just some of the best music, best sound quality.
Yes.
Gameplay was fucking flawless, and I guess the problem was maintaining rights to the music, maintaining server space, and
I would do anything right now to be able to log on to my PS4 and go play fucking Queensryche,
or fucking White Zombie, or any of those great fucking songs that were on there.
Yeah.
Like, some of those, like, as you said, I still have all the equipment. If I could go play
my box is in there right now, yeah. But I don't want to mess around. And even those songs, those aren't even in the story, so it's gone. And you would do multiplayer, it would just go points. You're not like facing somebody one-on-one at the same time. It would just give you a list of random people to get those points in based on what your skill level was, and it was awesome.
And that also allowed you gameplay credits.
But that's what really killed it. What their plan was to keep that licensing going. After you spend $90 or $100 on this setup, if you wanted to play GHTV, they treat it like an arcade. You had to keep paying money for credits. You couldn't grind it. The grinding was too much. You would get like 2 daily free plays, right? I'm just like, no. And then you go in and spend money.
The old games, you couldn't just buy a song for $2. You had to maintain them.
And that was their ecosystem. And when people decided to stop doing that, you had no way, you couldn't pay for the rights or nothing. And that was, I think maybe that was probably cheaper for them to go that route to offer something like that because the technology was there.
But longevity,
there's no way. I mean, and it sucks because it was such a great thing. But you can't have one without the other. Rock Band 4 hit. By the time we picked up Rock Band 4, we're like, yeah, set list is great. You get all our old songs. It's 1080p. But what we discovered, most of the instruments are the same except for the guitar. Freestyle solos. This is the greatest invention they ever had on there, and God, it was such a peak. I didn't like, this seems tacky, but then you start doing it, and then you can make your own rhythm, and just you go along with the song, and you just pick up on your ears on this stuff and come up with your own creativity. Pearl Jam Black. Well, Pearl Jam Black was one of the albums we could download early. Was 10. So awesome. But yeah, going through like Jeremy and just being able to do our own solos, and there's no failing.
Yeah, there's no restrictions.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, yeah, it's like, I'm gonna cheat my way through. I gotta do nothing. It's like, it's not about that. It's like they want you to get creative with this, and it worked.
You fuck around with it long enough, you're like, dude, I like that better than the original.
Yeah, exactly.
I made that.
You made that, and that's awesome. They did a lot with that, but slowly over time, people, much like a Wii, everybody got Guitar Hero Live for that Christmas, and it just started collecting dust. Rock Band 4, ironically, is still alive. Rock Band Rivals was the expansion. Basically took over as Rock Band 4. It came Rock Band 4, and you still back and get all the songs. It had a new set list, and they're still dumping music out every damn week.
This is new to me. I can't speak on that subject, but
it makes me kind of want to get back into it. But
curious to look at it.
They went back and stole some stuff from Guitar Hero Live. Looks like I have not played it either. I'd like to, but I don't have an Xbox One. I don't want to get a PS4 because I have all these other songs over there. Because basically I'm holding myself back. But at the same time, I'm not going to buy an Xbox One because there's no point to. Because Xbox sucks. From what I was reading, it does the online aspect, the multiplayer aspect, much like Guitar Hero Live did, with just kind of giving you points. It's not like you're not going one-on-one with somebody directly, but it's just more or less the community. There's a couple just other different modes in there, but I'm just interested to see where it's come. Because, it's going to be basically the same game. But besides them, it's nice of them to keep putting out music for it, because clearly there's a community there, and it sucks that Guitar Hero Live stuff died. But again, much like 2010, 2011, there's still a market here for this if they brought out a new one.
Oh, God, yeah.
One thing that also did get in the way... Jesus.
As you were.
So, when things started dying off with Guitar Hero 5 and Rock Band 3 in the last generation, there was another big reason for this. A company had stepped up. I'm not sure actually who developed it, but everybody wanted to play guitar and didn't. Well, Rocksmith existed. And I will tell you what, that's not a game, that is a tool. Rocksmith will actually teach you to play guitar and play chords, and it had real licensed music in there. And it was awesome. Basically, I know there was a kit you could get. It was $200. It came with a SG, Epiphone SG, and you need a special cable. It was like a MIDI to USB cable, and you get the game, and you would sit there, and there were tools, there were things, exercises. Like it felt like if you want to learn guitar at home and not pay for a teacher or something like that, this would guide you along the way.
And looked to be a very legitimate option as well.
And there's DLC for that too, so there were constantly new things to learn. Like that was going towards something. And there's people, I'm sure you look on YouTube, there are people that have started with that, learned from nothing, and they're godsend guitarists now.
That was something I really wanted to get my hands on, and just for one reason or another, it just never happened for me. It's not to say I still don't have an interest in it. I do.
It's on PS3 and PS4 as both generations, so they never felt the need to put out a 2 because they just had the DLC. Like they're not greedy. They don't care about making money, but this is something legitimate. But we also live in a time right now where, I nobody gives a shit about that type of music anymore, and that's part of. Yeah, I wonder if that's part of the reason maybe why this won't come back. It's just the direction music has come. The youth does not give a shit about traditional bands unless it is some cookie shit seen at the farmer's market about ecosystems or something. Meanwhile, they hop in their car and listen to trap rap going home. I mean, that's just the state of what it is now. And,
I don't have any interest in that at all. No. But I mean, there's still.
They should make Rap Hero.
There's still a thriving music culture out there. There's still real musicianship out there to find it, but I don't see any of these big companies wanting to dump a lot of money into something that's not going to be
profitable,
commercially successful in the way that our radio airwaves are cranking out right now.
Yeah, without somebody trying to take advantage of some subscription thing. But honestly, you know what? And maybe that's, I think, the way the world is now in their subscriptions. But if they offered, God, that would have saved it. If Guitar Hero Live Activision had offered for $5 a month subscription, I'd pay it.
I would have.
Just to keep that up, I'd pay it. That's one of, I don't even like subscriptions, but that would have saved that. God, that's brilliant. Why did they go back and do it? No, it's too late now. But maybe if they do bring it back and do the same thing, they could keep that going.
I mean, I would have dropped Netflix 2 years ago just to keep Guitar Hero.
Yeah. Man. Well, subscriptions weren't a thing as mainstream as they were.
Warcraft days and shit.
Yeah. But if that would have kept that alive, they should have thought about doing that instead of charging people $5 for 10 tokens all the damn time.
Congressman. Come on, Lindsey Graham, get this shit. Get it back.
This the state of the music genre in gaming is kind of dead. Rocksmith, though, is, if you're interested in trying to play guitar at home and learn it, that's a godsend given to, especially if you own a guitar already. But otherwise, you can't just buy the game and play with the controllers. No point, because it's not a game. It's literally like Mario teaches math. Like that's what its idea is to actually teach you to do something. It's not, let's have fun. Remember that episode of South Park where they made fun of Guitar Hero years ago? And like Kyle and Stan were so good, and then like Randy's like, "Oh, watch you actually play Boston." God, I love playing Boston on Rock Band. But they're like, "Dude, you suck. That's stupid. Who cares?"
And you're like, "No, I'm really playing it."
It's like, so? That was great. And that was what that was. At that point, that was kind of the thing. Is like people were getting good at that when they could have gotten good at actual instruments. It really wasn't about that. If you wanted to play an actual instrument, you picked it up. And I'm sure that the music genre of gaming certainly influenced people actually like, you know what, screw it, I don't want to play the game anymore. I actually want to pick up a guitar and learn the shit. But like I said, the only one you can really learn would be drums from the games.
It certainly opened the doorway, I'm sure. But for just fans of music, but not necessarily talented or musically inclined in a classical sense, it gave you at least a brief sense of the realism, and that was where the fun laid.
Especially when you're fucked up out of your mind, and you can air thrust the air, and you get in that solo, and everybody in there's just like feeling the music, and then you're just playing it.
And you got enough people cracked out in your bedroom that you can live a rock star lifestyle.
And the chicks are like, that guy's really good with his fingers, you know. So,
I mean, it tied two worlds together at the same time, I suppose.
It definitely brought people in that didn't normally play games or anything like that.
Oh, but for sure.
That was the Fortnite of 15 years ago. That was Battle Royale. I mean, it was a theme in gaming. It peaked, and now there's still a core audience for it, but we're hoping that it comes back at some point.
I mean, I'll never forget some of the best parties we ever had at my house were basically solely based on Rock Band and Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
And it was men, women, you know, sober, drunk, whatever. It was just people getting together and just nothing else, just rocking out to some music and having a good time. And you didn't have to be a gamer to appreciate this.
Or it was also you trying to drown yourself in the toilet because you were sick of hearing Weezer say it. So, Jesus Christ.
All that too.
Yeah. anyways, we hope it comes back at some point. And as for this one, I'm not gonna do the thing that Rob does, but again, thoughts and prayers for Rob as he
succumb to his illness.
Yeah, he has SARS and SIDS and
flips.
Flips. Is that a word?
Sounds good.
Anyways, donate to us for him. Anyways, yeah, he's gonna be very mad he was on this video, but sorry, you're sick.
I think he was cryogenically frozen.